things that can be done that can lead to not quick change, but quicker kinds of evolution of dealing with all of this, the trauma is there. What are your thoughts, because you guys are so creative and you're thinking so passionate, so heartfelt, what do you think it's gonna take for this, all of this to move forward, particularly when you've got institutionalized issues that are keeping you down? How do you inspire the people, the ground level, to really move more so?
Yeah.
Or is it just a matter of time?
Yeah. Maybe يعني I will say something and you will connect it to the trauma informed method اللي عم نعمله, because this is what we're actually working on. Firstly, to start with, anything that needs to happen that has to deal with, you know, overcoming trauma and healing needs at the same time to go parallel with something that happens on a governmental level. Meaning, you know, we're generating trauma and this shall come to an end. I'm taking Gaza out of this because every time I think about Gazans, I'm like, they need 10 trillion interventions, so it's a different story. But speaking of, I believe that something needs to happen with the curriculum at school. Something needs to change in a way that even the governmental schools in the vulnerable areas where kids have to suffer on daily basis, something needs to happen in the school, something needs to happen within the curriculum itself that touches bases on the well-being of those kids. Because what us, like a small organization, can do with the little grants we get from here and there, we do like art therapy to kids in Masafer Yatta in southern Hebron Hills. Because what they face, I, 37-year-old, cannot face. But we believe, you know, they can grow up. As they grow up, the trauma is growing up with them, and then it will be translated with, you know, within their daily actions and attitudes and violations and. So we believe that art is a tool that can make those kids express themselves and, you know, put out their traumas in a very creative way. We need more organizations and we need more people who believe in that work. So we need supporters, not only us. We need support from the international community. We need people who put money for such projects rather than supporting you know, things that need to be tangible, a house, you know, like we need people to invest in that, people who believe in the importance of it. And I will add to that, something needs to happen parallel on a political level.
Yeah.
Sanctions, you know, countries must stop arming Israel now. If you love your kid and you know, if your kid is a drug addict, you know, if you really love your kid, you will provide him more drugs? No, you will try your best to, you know, to prevent your child from, what I mean, stop arming Israel and bring them to the table, sanctions, bring them to a place where this needs to end. For the sake of the state of Israel, for the sake of the security of the Jewish people, for the sake of the Jewish dream.
Yes.
You cannot live in a bubble
Yes.
assuming that there is nothing happening behind those walls. If we do this, we're actually investing more in our personal and collective karma, I believe, if we choose to stay in that bubble. I cannot live in, you know, Rosh Hashanah, beautiful, wow, I'm out of this world, and this is happening in Bethlehem.
What's the essence of it? I mean, I like everything you're saying, and at the same time, I'm wondering, what is the message? What is going to be the idea, the image, the vision? How is it going to get expressed that it has a greater capacity to impact people towards some kind of movement? What's going to inspire? What would the words be?
Yeah.
Or the image be?
Bajawab?
Yeah, so adding to what Said said, I think we are now our main focus on creating a joint resistance a joint Israeli-Palestinian resistance to come and stand together against the injustice. So what we are doing now in Area C, for example, with an Israeli organization for protective presence, where we have an Israeli activist. They come together with the Palestinians standing against the settler violence against the Palestinian community in South Hebron Hills or with the community.
What did you call it? Creative?
Protective
Protective presence. And we have now, this joint resistance that we need the Israeli people to be aware of what is happening to the West Bank, to educate more people. And this is why we need more Israeli partners to know about the work we're doing, to do this joint resistance, where those Israeli who are living in Tel Aviv or in Haifa or in these places that they have everything they need, they don't even think about who's those people living behind the walls. Or what they know that those people living behind the walls are the terrorists, that they want to come and kick us and push us to the sea, which is the people. And I think we need more awareness, and this is why I always keep repeating that we need not an Arab Spring, we need an Israeli Spring.
Yes.
We need an
Awakening,
movement.
yes.
We need a movement in Israel that can be ready and aware of this problem, this system that we need to change.
Yeah. I will always say, the apartheid walls will be pushed by Israelis one day, not by us. Yes.
A moment of hope I have for all of us, but for you. In the United States, I think this may have been put out in Haaretz, that Orthodox Jews had gathered in a conference and called out and opposed the occupation in the West Bank and Gaza. Orthodox,
Yes.
religious Jews. And to me, that's some hope. I don't know if those settlers, those extremist settlers will hear that, but that gives me a little bit of hope.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
That just happened this past 2 days.
Yeah, and adding to that we need to do our awareness is not about ending the occupation, but the right of everyone in this land. Like for me as a Palestinian now, I understand that the Jewish people, they have more connection with the West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria today, because this is where the biblical history took place, Judea and Samaria. It's not Tel Aviv, it's not Haifa, it's not, and for the Jewish people, they need also to be aware that, the connection for the Christian people in this land, it's not only Bethlehem and Jerusalem. For me as a Christian, Bethlehem is the place where Jesus was born, but this is not the place where Jesus did his ministry. Which is the Sea of Galilee. This is where I need to drive my car every Sunday to the Sea of Galilee to sit and meditate and pray, to feel connected to my heritage. At the same time, also we need to acknowledge the right of the Muslim of going to Jerusalem and pray freely. So freedom of worship and freedom of where do you want to live, it's also something that we need to change immediately, that people need to accept the reality that Jews, Muslim and Christian, they are connected here, and you cannot take the right of any of the connection with this land. So for me, I can see the vision in the future that I'm fine of having a Jewish settlement in the West Bank, having a settlement in Bethlehem, but they need to give the same right for me, where I can go to the Sea of Galilee whenever I want, and I can buy a house next to the Sea of Galilee. That's,
If I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm hearing is a kind of strategy for change that has to do with both increasing resistance to whatever the word would be, institutionalized behaviors or laws that keep all this
Policies,
down.
yeah.
And in addition to that is the idea that working towards equality for all. So it's a combination, because I don't think resistance alone is gonna get you there. I'm not
No.
sure that just talking about equality is gonna get you, but that combination
Exactly.
makes some
Yeah,
sense.
stopping the injustice, working on equality for everyone, equal rights, and the trauma healing, like we need also to heal our generation trauma. And this is why now we are in a phase of developing a trauma transformative methodology that Holy Land Trust is leading as a Palestinian organization in dealing with the trauma. And that we need to develop a trauma that fit our context, Palestinian context, because we are using European American methodologies that does not fit into our context, and we need to develop one from the Palestinian to the Palestinian, and the same for Israel. I think we need to develop also an Israeli trauma, and this is why now we submitted a grant, which is a joint Israeli-Palestinian, Holy Land Trust and Musalaha, with European organization, that we want to develop two methodology, one for Israel and one for Palestine, that can deal with the trauma. We need to do trauma informed, because also talking about trauma is kind of a taboo, that people think trauma is a sickness, that you need to go and talk to a psychologist, and it's a taboo, like no one is talking about it. So we need to be trauma informed, to introduce people about the trauma, tell them what symptom is the trauma, and also trauma sensitive training, that how people can deal with the trauma, and then trauma transformative. And we are now in a phase of training trainers, social workers, youth leaders, teachers, that they can influence others in this. So yeah, that's actually our priority now. We just done our strategic plan for the 3 years. Unfortunately, we have to leave this building because our contract finished, and now we are aiming to establish a center, which will be a creative healing center, which will be the safe space for Palestinians to come and share, and to develop the criteria and the methodology and the tools for trauma healing, working with women, kids, using art, women's circle. We have in our board, Nimala, she's a yoga teacher, she's a woman leader and well-being coach. We have also Isa, he's also life coach. That we want to create this is what I see, like in 2 years I want to have this center where we can have it as a safe space, and from here we develop tools for the Palestinian community as well, in parallel with our Israeli partner, which is Musalaha, Rossing Center, and JCR, yeah. Sorry.
I would also